I am going to call our meeting to order. It's 8:30. If I could have a roll call, please.
Member Cahill. Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Evans. Member LaPlante.
Here.
Member Cover.
Here.
And Chair Rutledge.
Here. Thank you. No remarks this morning. Do we have any public comment?
Hello, I'm David Barkus. I'm a resident of unincorporated communities, and I'm an advocate for International Dark Sky. So I've been coming to your meeting, listening to learning. To explain a little bit about International Dark Sky, for those that aren't know, we're in 78 countries. In the US, we're headquartered in Tucson. We do primarily two things. We're out there trying to preserve the dark sky that exists in places like Arizona and Wyoming. And we try to reverse the light pollution in the urban areas where most of us live. So in the color counties here, we are trying to educate and help with policy on outdoor lighting. I have a little cheat sheet. There's 6 counties here, as you guys know. 269 municipalities, 113 townships, 166 park districts, and we're trying to cover them all. We're trying to stop the increased pollution that's happening from the conversion to LED, and we realize we don't have much time to educate. If we can put in ordinances, we can control this and maybe reverse it. So that's why I'm here, and I'm ready to help with anyone. We're a little stretched, but it's not difficult. The concept's pretty simple. Ordinances, you guys know all about how to write them and how long they take. And so we're trying to get this jump started as fast as we can. We had some successes last year, but to try to get coverage within the next 3 or 4 years before townships, municipalities have spent the money is really key. So it's trying to get out there and get the education going as fast as we can before the commitment's already been made. Some of the largest cities in the United States have already reversed what they did 10 years ago. And so that's double the cost. LA, Seattle's having problems, Washington, DC. Pittsburgh already approved a conversion plan, but now it waits for funding, it waits for priority. So I'm going to come here as often as I can, and I'm willing to help wherever I can. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Next, Kay McKean from Scares.
Morning, everybody. So just real quick, Saturday we had an open house and the weather was fabulous. So we had 63 people. It's kind of crazy, but it was really fun to have answer a lot of questions. A lot of people about what can be recycled. It's amazing. What we think we talk about all the time. So interesting what people are concerned about and what they don't know. So it's really, we're really glad to have that much time. So we'll do another one of those at the end of March. We have a downsize and declutter workshop this coming Saturday, which focuses on reuse as much as we can, and then proper recycling if things can't be reused. Connecting people with all the other not-for-profits in DuPage County and what they take, like Sharing Connections in Downers Grove and different things like that, so that the right things can get to the right not-for-profit. And then kind of the best way to donate. So if you've got shoes, tie them together. If you've got puzzles, put all the pieces in a Ziploc bag in the box so that you don't lose the pieces. So proper donating, reuse, and then recycling is what we'll focus on that. We have 23 recycling extravaganzas scheduled for the year already. And Dave and I'm hoping he's going to come. May 6th is our Get Your Garden Growing Green Market. So I'm asking those folks to have a booth so they can educate more people about the light bulbs, the issues, and the problems. So lots coming up.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes.
Those tips sound really interesting and could be used for all of us who are always decluttering and cleaning out our kids'
Yes.
closets. Can you please share those with us so we can share them?
Yes, we are right now updating it again.
Okay.
But yeah, so right now we're working on that project, the fire in West Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Working on twin beds and stuff. The problem with the fires in West Chicago is we don't know when their apartments are going to be inhabitable again. And so we're finding furniture, but there's no
No
place
place
for it
to
to
put it.
go yet. So I've been working with Winfield Township to see if they can find some space so that good furniture would have a place to go. So when they can get back into their apartments, what can we do? But yeah, those tips. So we like to focus on the local not-for-profits, because if we help locally with what's needed, right? We can help more people and not transport things too far. But yeah, so would you like a list?
I
you
would
like-
love the list.
you'd like a
Yeah,
list.
Like,
All right.
those 2 tips were fantastic. Tie the shoes together. I never think of that. I just put a whole huge giant bag of shoes. So
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, and then rubber band the shoes that don't have ties.
Right, like that, I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
Just throw them all in a bag. And so I would love tips like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will
And
get
then
that
I'll
to you
share it.
guys.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll get
Can you
that
share
to
them with the committee? Because I could
Yeah.
Yeah,
disseminate.
if
it.
you'll send them to
Exactly.
me,
Yeah.
I'll make sure
Yeah.
Joy sends them out to the committee.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it fun?
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned this because I just cleaned out all the baby toys and strollers and pack and play and everything from the basement.
Careful, that's when the babies come.
And the key is, I have a lot of clients in CPA and I do a lot of accounting work and everybody is donating everything all the time to get the tax deduction.
Yeah.
And so they ask me, what can I do? So these, I could easily share all these tips with people. It would be very helpful.
And toys, those things are really important to make sure you put all the pieces together.
Well, they're really good condition. So when I
Yeah.
see them, you know,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a perfectly good slide, you know, and I don't want it to go in the trash.
No,
And I know
no.
because they're
Right.
good toys.
Oh,
Yeah.
little
So we
types,
work
that
with,
stuff I
like,
never.
Gently used.
So slides and
That's
things
all
like
of us.
that, we work with a lot of the.
It's a baby slide.
Early childhood, right, the early childhood kinds of programs in our schools where they can use those kinds of things. So what helps us with those kinds of items is if you take a picture,
Okay.
bless you, and email that to us. Because we have that e-blast that goes out every Wednesday.
Okay, do you guys do pickup or do you want people to drop off?
We don't do pickup, so you can drop them off, but also sometimes people want people to pick it up there. Like right now, we've got this kitchen set that's gorgeous, but
Right.
there's no room, it's scarce for a whole
Right.
kitchen set. So the lady wants us to, it'll go out today, I think. Oh, I think it went out yesterday, actually. So she wants them to just connect with her and then she'll go to the house and pick it up. But pictures help us get things reused, especially by the early childhood programs in DuPage County. So, and make sure you put all the pieces together. So I'll work on that.
That'd be
with you
great.
guys.
Very
Okay.
helpful.
That'd be great.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kay. All right, next I'll look for a motion on the approval of minutes from January 3rd.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Want to go ahead and do the presentation this
Yeah,
morning? I think we have
everybody
enough for
knows
that. Environmental Division introduction for some
Can I
of
say
our.
one thing first? Sure. I left the JPS meeting at 8:28, so these clocks are not synced. So
No, they're
just so
not.
you know, I was in that meeting. I wasn't late. I was just going by my watch.
Yeah,
So,
I know. We've asked for that on
Yeah.
numerous occasions.
We do sync them up every once in a while, but then they quickly get.
Are
out
they,
and sync
they're all
again.
battery operated?
Yeah, they're
That's
all
why.
independent.
yeah.
They're all independent, so we do
My
sync them
watch, I
up.
was like left there plenty of time. Okay, sorry.
oh, no, you're
Go
good.
ahead.
All right, Tony, environmental committee, you can go to the next slide. All right, so I want to share with you our mission. The environmental division originally focused mainly on solid waste management. That is our main area. We oversee DuPage County Solid Waste Management Plan, recycling, waste reduction. But we have, you know, over the last couple decades moved into sustainability with our Cool DuPage project and such. Next slide. So here is our org chart. We are under the Building and Zoning Department, which is in turn under Nick's Public Works Department. Next slide. I did want to share with you our budget. We get an allocation from the general fund, but we do get revenue as well that supports our salaries. Or are you going to take a picture? I can send you the.
Yeah, I don't know if
slides.
we have it in our packet or not.
Yeah, we can send you this.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So we do support the HHW facility, environmental education, deck shredding, so you can go through the list of items. The above are all general fund allocations, and then our revenue, I've got our revenue below. Any of our, you know, supplies and personnel and things like that comes from the building and zoning budget. Next slide. So I wanted to share with you some of our typical committee items, our agreements, the solid waste annual report that usually we get done between March and April. Recycling events, Cool DuPage, we'll give you some updates there. You'll see on your agenda today the Illinois Manufacturers Clearinghouse participation. We do have some strategic initiatives in the county's strategic plan. As you saw from our last meeting, we do talk about legislation on occasion as it impacts the environmental division. Again, the HHW facility, and then we do enforcement on behalf of the Illinois EPA for non-hazardous waste sites, and that's that delegation agreement with the EPA. So I want to share with you some of our new and upcoming initiatives, something that this committee will be talking about that has been Chair Rutledge's I guess efforts. I was going to say little baby project or whatever, big project.
It's not a baby project.
Is the unincorporated waste and recycling hauling project. And you will see actually an item on the agenda today about that. One of our solid waste plan items is the hauler licensing, the construction demolition debris rate study. Cool DuPage, that is our countywide effort to reduce greenhouse gases 10% by 2020, 20% by 2030. We did take a measurement a year ago and we had reached the 20%. So later on this year, we'll be coming back to you with new goals. Where do we want to go from here? We have the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus that is recommending a regional agenda that we'll contemplate at the committee at some point in time, not today. We support and partner with Illinois EPA. We also work with, and I'm not sure how many have encountered the CPACE program. That's our property assessment energy financing project. We help with the outreach and connecting businesses with that project. One of the other items that is up in 2023 is Lakeshore Recycling's pending transfer station siting hearing that while it's incorporated, it would have an impact on DuPage County because we have a secondary host community benefit agreement with them where we would receive some funding for the waste that is taken to that transfer station.
Before you go to the next slide, I have a question. The construction and demo debris recycling rate study, is that globally or is that per hauler?
That would be just looking at the rates within the area to determine whether the county was interested in putting together any sort of construction demolition debris mandate, any sort of required ordinance that would probably fall under building and development.
But will that study say that group recycles this much?
No.
Okay.
It's just a rate study.
Okay.
Good question. Next slide. So we do work with a lot of partners, Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. We did adopt several years ago the Chicago Regional Trees Initiative. That is something with the Morton Arboretum and several of the regional communities. You see the organizations that we participate in on a statewide basis. We work on the Contamination Task Force, the Illinois Product Stewardship Council, and several of the other solid waste organizations. Next slide. So I did want to talk with the committee today about a potential program that is being offered by the Citizens Utility Board. It is a geothermal and air source heat pump group buy. We have been participating for the last 3 years on a solar group buy with these organizations, and it's been very successful. In 2022, we had the program yield, the solar program yield 75 installations. We reached the 300 kilowatt hour benchmark, and we had 11 installations just in DuPage County. So just to give you a sense of what the group buy programs are, they contract with specific vendors. In the case of the heat pumps, we would have multiple vendors that residents can go to. The purpose of the group buy is to get that lower cost and then help the homeowners apply for all of the incentives. And for the heat pumps, for the geothermal, there's a 30% federal tax credit. There's a $2,000 home efficiency tax credit. And then ComEd also has a geothermal rebate.
How does that work, the group buy? What does that mean?
We as a region, usually Will County is part of this as well. King County have been part of the solar group buy. In this case, Will County is the only one so far that has signed on to the air source heat pump. CUB issues an RFP, we select a contractor, and that contractor, due to the potential large amount of business, gives a lower price. So our residents are started with the lower price.
So
to
there's no
begin with.
cost to the county specifically. Okay.
No, we just promote the program. We'll host
Okay.
in the case of solar, we did a solar power hour
Okay.
with CUB. So no funds on the counties.
Go ahead,
Just a
Todd.
really quick question. Are the solar panels manufactured in the US? Or are they overseas? From
I
overseas?
will look into that. I can't recall what we did in 2022. I know there's been some trouble getting them sourced, but I will find that out for you and let you
It
know.
could
Hard
be
to
a
find
great
US
job
panels.
creator.
Absolutely. So I want to talk with you today and make sure that the committee was interested in participating in expanding that solar group buy and start dabbling into the geothermal and the air source heat pump group buy.
A lot of nodding going on.
Okay, next slide, Tony. Sorry, kind of redundant here. I apologize. This is where our funding comes from. We do get funding from the state for our inspection program, and we do get funding from the DuPage transfer station via the city of West Chicago. Next slide. Communication and outreach. I did want to bring your attention to this. We do have several pages on the website. We do have a recycling guide. We do also have social media via our Cool DuPage platform. And we're happy to share. And when Kay provides that, we can put out some of those, donate tips and such. So we are very active on those. So I encourage you to share or I guess friend us, if you will. We do have a Facebook page as well. Next slide. And that is it. So just wanted to give you an introduction to environmental equity.
Anybody have any questions for Joy?
Yeah, I have a quick question. There's supposed to be a staff member added that's a sustainable person. Is that correct?
That will be under facilities. Yes.
That's just under facilities?
Yes.
Okay, but will you'll be working with them, I would assume, right?
Yep. I've actually been sitting in on the interviews.
Okay,
Yes.
the only reason I'm asking is because I had a meeting with somebody this week and they gave me all this information about all the federal tax grants and everything coming in and what we can and can't get, because there's a lot of tax money out there that the county could be taking advantage of. And I'm assuming they would be the one that would be looking for those grants or those tax dollars, or is that something that you would be doing? Or who should I send that?
I was going to
information
say, I would send it to me, send it to Tim, and then Jeff Madison. We are the three kind of working on the departments at the moment. And then when we have that person on board, that person will be probably hopefully taking on both of those.
All right, perfect.
But in the
So,
meantime,
Paula, you mean grants that we get, because the county doesn't pay any tax. So
Well, there's tax dollars for when you
for
buy
the
certain,
individuals, to the individuals.
but there's also government municipal tax rebates that you can get for things we'd be doing on the campus or in the area.
But we don't, sales tax you're talking about? Income tax, the county doesn't pay any.
No, I'm not talking about income tax. I'm talking about
Okay,
tax.
sales tax.
Not even sales tax.
What is
This
it
would be
What kind of grants? are you
grants
talking
coming back to the
Grants.
county.
about? Grant
I don't
money.
know if they'd be calling it grants. would they?
No.
Yeah, it's not.
some of
tax
them,
else do you
some of them
call?
are grants. There is the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant that is coming down in March. We'll be applying for that funding. That is actually a direct allocation. And then there are other, when you're saying grants, yes, it is, or tax, it's from the federal standpoint, it's a tax credit. However, they have carved out a mechanism for local governments to get that money directly.
Okay,
It's not, to your point, it's called a grant, but they have created a way for counties to get that money.
Okay, right.
Patty?
We have an organization that is called NEST, Naperville Environmental Sustainability Task Force, that was started many, many years ago, like before this was all rolling. And of course, we have a coordinator, in the city of Naperville. One of the things, though, that the NEST group is kind of being shadowed over, we're talking about green, right? We're talking about solar, wind turbine, geothermal, that type of energy source. But they also were talking about landscape. So instead of doing grass, do wild plantings. Instead of doing a PUD, a planned unit development that has a grassy area, potentially with whatever, that literally the sustainability coordinator would evaluate that project and see if it has enough sustainability, natural environment within that
Love that.
environment. So I don't know if you guys are doing that or if you're looking at a candidate that has a little bit of that knowledge to be able to promote that also, because we really do get fixated on the solar wind turbine and all that stuff, which is great, but then we forget about the natural.
And on that note, one of the things that I have railed against all the time I've been on the board, and I can't quite get traction, so maybe I can count on you for that, is last year we signed $500,000 in contracts to municipalities to pay them to mow grass strips. And Naperville was 155,000 somewhere in there, mostly because of 75th Street. And I'm like, there has got to be a better use for that 150 feet of frontage.
Yeah.
And I do see on our agendas today, I think it's Public Works, where some of that money is coming back. So we must not have had enough rain last year or something. I don't know why that's happening, but I think that is the most ridiculous money that we spend. That we need to be putting more sustainable landscape in. And they do tell me that they're enlarging the intersection at Roosevelt Road and Fabian Parkway. And they have promised me that part of that is more sustainable landscaping and not just turf. I think turf, it just
And that's an
makes me crazy.
opportunity for us because 75th Street, what you're talking about is actually a boulevard. And within the median of that street are trees. Why couldn't there be wild?
Well, no, I mean,
trees?
up like, what is it, east of 59, there is 150 feet along the side of the road. And I'm like up at the top of the hill, plant vegetables for the food pantries or something. I don't care what you do, just stop throwing money at turf.
Well, and there's no sewer system there, so it's actually just natural drainage. So it
Right.
would lend itself, but we should coordinate.
I'd like that.
Well, and also check on in Elmhurst on the prairie path. It's the prairie path itself, but between the street, they have a whole wild grass plantings, it goes all the way for miles.
Yeah.
And it's spectacular.
I ask people, do you like food? Yeah. Because we've got to give pollinator support, and
Yeah.
turf does not do that.
So that's why we suggest doing clover
Mhm.
instead of.
Well, yeah, I said plant
Right,
clover.
right.
You can just seed it right into the grass. It'll ultimately
Right.
take over. You can still mow it if you want, but.
Right.
So there's my rant for the day. Thank you very much. Moving along. Did you have anything else?
I think we're
Okay.
good.
Let's see, parent committee approval. I'll ask for a motion on 22-23-138. DuPage County Electronic Recycling Program of 2023, notice of participation. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, 22-23-137, GPN 00823, the Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling Grant Program PY 23, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, $684,000, $282.80. Motion and a second. Any questions?
I was gonna say, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
I'm really excited about
Jump
this
in.
application.
I know, that's a lot of
Yeah,
money.
this is a lot of money, and I know you had questioned it, or anyway, I wanted you to share my excitement on this. So US EPA has published this Swiffer grant for infrastructure funding, and we are proposing to partner with the Garden Works project. They rent space over at the fairgrounds and with offices over across the street on Manchester. And what the proposal is to purchase a refrigerated van for them to recover any of the produce that is left over from the farmers markets throughout DuPage County and take that food to the food pantries, some of the smaller food pantries that don't always have access to that fresh produce. So that is probably the biggest element to this grant application. The second is actually for a campus. It would be to purchase a commercial composting unit that would be situated somewhere on the campus. And that would recover the food scraps from all of our cafeterias, including the jail, to compost and then use that food scrap composting on site. The last element of it is to purchase new recycling bins. I'm sure you've noticed a lot of our recycling bins are necessarily pretty or clear. So this would be to purchase a lot of the exterior ones on the parking garage. I believe it's on the second floor. Is one of our pilot ones just to see how it works. So I just wanted to kind of share the elements of that grant.
Okay. We had all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is ENP 0049-23, a recommendation for the approval of a contract with Aptum Environmental and Infrastructure LLC for consulting services for the continued study of the viability of providing waste and recycling services to unincorporated areas of DuPage for the period of February 14, 23 through November 30th, 23 for a total contract amount not to exceed $50,000. Questions?
We talked about this before, right?
Yes.
We went through this whole thing, so.
Yeah. What's this next phase gonna look like, I guess, is my question.
Sure, so in 2022, we did do a survey of the unincorporated residents that would be impacted. So they can file that, and I do have it. So this would be to take that survey information and share that with the township, sit down with the townships. It would be creating fact sheets and information, possibly a page on our website, so that as we move this forward, we have all of the information and we're conveying all the correct information that we can to all of our residents. So it would be meeting with townships, meeting with this committee, possibly meeting with finance committee, just to decide, is this something we want to do? Is it the right thing to do? And are people going to save money? Is it going to help the environment? What are all the benefits of it?
Will we ever talk to the haulers through this process? Or are we just gonna kind of go, here's what we're gonna do? Is that part of
that? Will eventually probably, well.
Or is that Aptum that will?
I'll have to talk to the state, if you're interested, we can include that, but we would need to talk to the state's attorney, because at some point, if the board decides to move forward with an RFP, we would not be able to chat with haulers.
Yeah,
So it's timing on that. So
okay.
yes, but no.
I'm just kind of trying to see what's gonna come on that. Okay. We have a motion and a second, correct? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's see. Staff reports, the document shredding program.
Austin.
Here. I'll give a quick update on where we are with document string. As you know, it's about 8,500 we were allocated, and we had 15 take us up on it. 3 are new. I think it was West Chicago, Wayne Township, and Oak Brook Terrace are the new ones. I think that's starting up in either April, if I recall, and then we've got a few kind of spread out throughout the year, trying to get a good coverage of the entire county. And we're doing a little bit better this time in terms of the coverage from north to south, east to west. So that's going really well, and we're allocated. We have one more event that we can fund, so it's been pretty popular. A lot of people took it up almost right away, so it's been going well.
We will send you those lists, that list of the dates and
You next is the US EPA Consumer Recycling Education and Outreach Grant Program.
So I just wanted to update the committee. This is the other large US EPA grant that has been announced. We are actually going to be cooperating with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, the solid waste agent. They are going to be the applicant. We are going to be partners in that with Solid Waste Agency in Northern Cook County, Lake County, Will County, King County, and McHenry County. So as long as this committee thinks that that's a viable way to go, that was going to be our preference, to make our application a little bit more attractive than trying to apply on our own.
Great. Okay. Next, any old business? Any new business? Without objection, we're adjourned.